Welcome to our channel. Today we delve into the dark and twisted tales of some of the most infamous female criminals in recent history. Brace yourselves for a journey into the macabre. We're about to uncover the stories behind the headlines, the motivations and the madness that led these women to commit unspeakable acts. From serial killers to mothers who turned against their own flesh and blood, we're diving deep into the abyss of human depravity. Grab your coffee, your tea, or maybe something a little stronger because you're going to need it. Let's get started. Our first case takes us to the sun-baked highways of Florida, where Aileen Wuornos, a woman hardened by life and betrayed by love, carved her own bloody path. Aileen drifted through life, a drifter in every sense of the word, working the fringes of society as a prostitute. But Aileen wasn't just another forgotten face on the streets. She was a ticking time bomb, fueled by rage and a history of abuse. Between 1989 and 1990, the bodies of 7 men, all shot at close range, were found dumped along Florida's highways. The victims? All men Aileen encountered during her time as a sex worker. Aileen's claims of self-defense, her insistence that the men had tried to hurt her, painted a chilling picture of a woman pushed to the edge, fighting back against a world that had always preyed on her vulnerability. The image of Aileen, wild-eyed and defiant, became a media sensation. Was she a cold-blooded killer or a victim lashing out? The debate raged on, fueled by Aileen's own contradictory statements and a justice system grappling with the complexities of her case. Aileen's trial was a media circus, her face plastered across newspapers and television screens. Her claims of self-defense, met with skepticism by some and fierce support by others, divided public opinion. The prosecution painted her as a calculating predator preying on unsuspecting men. The defense, however, argued that Aileen was a deeply traumatized woman, scarred by a life of abuse, simply trying to survive. In the end, the jury sided with the prosecution. Aileen Wuornos was found guilty and sentenced to death. Even behind bars, Aileen remained a captivating and polarizing figure. She granted interviews, wrote letters, and maintained her innocence, even as her execution date drew near. On October 9, 2002, Aileen Wuornos was executed by lethal injection. Her case, a tangled web of abuse, survival, and revenge, continues to fascinate and horrify, a stark reminder of the dark side that can lurk beneath the surface of the American dream. Our next case takes us deep into the heart of Florida, to a story that gripped the nation with its unsettling mystery and a mother's chilling demeanor. Caylee Anthony, a bubbly 2-year-old with infectious laughter, vanished without a trace, leaving a void in the lives of those who loved her and a nation on edge. At the center of this storm was Casey Anthony, Caylee's mother, whose carefree attitude and apparent lack of urgency in the face of her daughter's disappearance raised eyebrows and suspicion. As days turned into weeks, the nation watched, captivated and horrified, as the details of Caylee's disappearance unfolded. The investigation revealed a complex web of lies, deceit, and a family fractured by secrets. Casey's partying lifestyle, her conflicting accounts of Caylee's whereabouts, and her seemingly cold demeanor fueled public outrage and painted her as the prime suspect in her own daughter's disappearance. The trial was a media spectacle, broadcast live across the country, every detail dissected and debated. The prosecution presented a case built on circumstantial evidence, painting Casey as a neglectful mother who had murdered her daughter to reclaim her freedom. The defense, however, argued that Caylee had accidentally drowned and that Casey, paralyzed by fear and grief, had panicked, leading to a series of poor decisions and cover-ups. The world held its breath as the jury delivered their verdict, not guilty of murder. The nation gasped, divided between those who believed justice had been served and those who felt Casey had gotten away with murder. Casey Anthony walked free, forever marked by the shadow of suspicion. Her case remains one of the most controversial in recent history, a stark reminder that truth can be elusive and justice can be a double-edged sword. Fasten your seatbelts as we journey to South Carolina, where a mother's chilling act of desperation sent shockwaves through the nation. Susan Smith, a young woman trapped in a loveless marriage and yearning for a fresh start, committed a crime so horrific, so unimaginable, that it left an indelible scar on the hearts of a nation. Picture a small town shaken to its core by the news that two young boys, Michael and Alex Smith, are missing. Their mother, Susan, claims a carjacker forced her from her car with the boys still strapped inside. The image of a desperate mother pleading for the safe return of her children captured the nation's attention. America rallied behind Susan, offering support and prayers, united in the hope that the boys would be found safe. The search for the missing boys became a national obsession, with law enforcement, volunteers and the media working tirelessly to find them. As days turned into nights, a sense of dread began to creep in. Susan's story, riddled with inconsistencies, began to unravel under the weight of scrutiny. The nation watched in disbelief as the truth, more horrifying than anyone could have imagined, slowly emerged. Susan Smith, driven by a desperate desire to escape her unhappy marriage and pursue a relationship with a man who did not want children, had driven her car into a lake, sending her two young sons to their watery graves. The nation watched in horror as the car was pulled from the lake, the boys still strapped in their car seats. The image of Susan Smith, no longer the grieving mother but a cold, calculating killer, shocked the nation. Her trial became a media spectacle, her tearful confession broadcast across the airwaves. Susan Smith was found guilty of murder and sentenced to life in prison. Her case remains a chilling reminder of the depths of human desperation and the devastating consequences of deceit. Our journey into the darkest corners of the human psyche continues in Texas, where a mother's battle with mental illness culminated in an unimaginable tragedy. Andrea Yates, a devoted wife and mother of 5, descended into the depths of postpartum psychosis, a cruel twist of fate that led to a crime that shook the nation. Imagine a seemingly ordinary suburban home transformed into a scene of unimaginable horror. 5 young lives, full of promise and innocence, extinguished in the most unthinkable way. Andrea Yates, gripped by a severe psychotic break, drowned her 5 children in the bathtub, believing she was saving their souls from eternal damnation. The nation watched in horror as the details of the crime unfolded, struggling to comprehend the incomprehensible. How could a mother, entrusted with the care and well-being of her children, commit such an atrocious act? Andrea's history of postpartum depression and psychosis, her struggles with mental illness, became a focal point of the case. The prosecution argued that Andrea, despite her mental illness, was aware of her actions and chose to end her children's lives. The defense, however, painted a picture of a woman ravaged by mental illness, a loving mother driven to insanity by an invisible tormentor. The trial of Andrea Yates became a lightning rod for discussions about mental health, motherhood, and the justice system's ability to address the complexities of mental illness. The jury's initial guilty verdict sparked outrage, with many believing that Andrea's mental state had not been adequately considered. Years later, in a dramatic turn of events, Andrea's conviction was overturned and she was found not guilty by reason of insanity. She was committed to a mental health facility where she remains to this day. Andrea Yates's case serves as a chilling reminder of the devastating impact of mental illness and the importance of seeking help for those who suffer. It's a story that continues to spark debate about the intersections of mental health, motherhood, and the criminal justice system. Our final descent into the abyss of true crime takes us on a twisted journey through manipulation, medical mysteries, and a daughter's desperate bid for freedom. The case of Gypsy Rose and Dee Dee Blanchard is a chilling reminder that things are not always as they seem, and the bonds of family can sometimes be the most dangerous ties of all. Imagine a mother and daughter, their lives seemingly defined by love, and the daughter's struggle with a myriad of debilitating illnesses. Dee Dee Blanchard, the ever-devoted mother, cared for her daughter, Gypsy Rose, who was confined to a wheelchair, battling leukemia and muscular dystrophy, her fragile existence dependent on her mother's unwavering care. Theirs was a story that tugged at heartstrings, prompting an outpouring of support and sympathy from their community and beyond. But beneath the surface of this seemingly unbreakable bond lurked a sinister secret, a web of lies meticulously spun by Dee Dee, entrapping Gypsy Rose in a prison of fabricated illnesses and forced dependency. Dee Dee suffered from Munchausen syndrome by proxy, a mental health condition in which a caregiver fabricates or exaggerates a person's illness, often a child, to gain attention and sympathy. Gypsy Rose, subjected to years of unnecessary medical procedures, her life controlled by her mother's insidious manipulations, became a prisoner in her own body, her spirit slowly suffocating under the weight of her mother's deceit. As Gypsy Rose blossomed into a young woman, the desire for freedom, for a life free from her mother's control, grew stronger. She sought solace in the anonymity of the internet, connecting with a young man who offered her an escape from her suffocating reality. Together, they hatched a plan, a desperate bid for freedom that would have deadly consequences. In 2015, Dee Dee Blanchard was found murdered in her home, the mastermind behind her demise. Her own daughter, Gypsy Rose, and her online boyfriend. The shocking truth sent shockwaves through the community and captivated the nation. Gypsy Rose's story, a horrifying example of Munchausen by proxy, sparked a national conversation about the hidden abuse that can occur within families and the desperate lengths to which victims will go to break free. Gypsy Rose was sentenced to 10 years in prison for her role in her mother's death. Her case remains a chilling reminder of the devastating impact of mental illness, the complexities of abuse, and the enduring power of the human spirit to survive even the most unimaginable circumstances. Thank you for watching. If you found these stories as chilling as we did, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more true crime tales. The stories of these women serve as a stark reminder of the complexities of the human experience. They challenge us to confront the darkness that can reside within ourselves and others, to seek understanding even in the face of the unimaginable. Stay safe and see you next time.